Before we begin, let me first say that this program will contain some information which may be disturbing to younger audiences, so parental discretion is advised. We are going to be talking about parenting our kids through Christmas and the struggles that many parents face with the idea of just keeping Christ in Christmas. But first, let's go on the streets and find out what people think about Santa Claus.
I don't think we should because the secret is what keeps him alive.
I always tell the truth to my kids.
There's no Santa Claus?
We should try and preserve their innocence as long as we can because society's already trying to make them grow up sooner than they should be.
We're telling him that Santa's kind of the one bringing gifts, and then later on we'll share with him the truth of Christmas. And I don't think he can comprehend that right now, so I'd rather him think that some big red fat guy's bringing him gifts than mom or dad.
I think it's fun for kids to have that belief that this magic guy is going to come and bring them a present. I think it's nice until maybe they get old enough.
That's been going on for so long, I don't think so. Even I still believe in them.
If you're lying to them when they're small, you can't tell them, hey, kids, don't lie, because you've been lying to them saying Santa Claus is coming.
Why take that fun away from kids?
No, I think that we should tell kids that Santa exists and that the spirit of Santa exists, and that's what makes Christmas happy.
It's a great story for kids, and every child is so excited at the Christmas time because of Santa Claus.
I'm Jewish, but I just enjoy everything. I'm married to a Catholic lady, and I just love the whole fun of everything. So I think, why spoil it?
You shouldn't really tell your kids Santa Claus, because there is no Santa Claus. Okay, kids? No Santa Claus.
Now, everyone loves Santa Claus, but for many Christians, this whole Santa Claus myth is a no-no. So to sort this whole thing out, we've assembled our parenting panel. Patrick Douglas, father of 6, and Lisa Canning, mother of 2. Welcome, guys. Santa Claus? Yes? No? Thumbs up? Thumbs down? Just to get a quick census here.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
St. Nicholas? Thumbs up?
Yeah.
Thumbs
up.
down? Do you find it hard competing with all the secular stuff for Christmas?
Yeah. This is a topic of mild debate in my home.
Mild?
I'll say mild.
Okay, yeah.
How do we keep Advent, the spirit
Okay,
of Advent,
yeah,
very
yeah.
alive
Yeah.
in our house, in a world that's just so over commercialized? And I work in journalism. I'm writing articles about
designing,
Christmas in November. Everything launches in July, really. So
Yeah.
it's a hard thing for us to reconcile. So in my house, it's a topic that we still are trying to work out.
So sorry. So are you? Just tell us more.
I am pro Christmas decorations as of November 1st. My husband would like to reserve them until December 24th.
Okay, so you obviously don't see a conflict with having Christmas decorations in November.
I can see merit in things that he's saying. It's like you're tired of Christmas already by the time December 25th comes.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see that point.
Okay.
And also that Advent is supposed to be penitential. So how can you remain penitential when you've got all this flurry and fun and festivity around you? So
Patrick?
Yeah, well, I think, I guess personally I'm either or on decorations and that before Christmas. I think my wife's more in line with you, wanting to have the decorations up the 1st of November. And I think I kind of like the idea of staged decorations, as you sort of put up the greens and that sort of thing. And maybe the tree comes up maybe a couple weeks before Christmas, and then, the nativity maybe goes out just right before Christmas, maybe Christmas Eve or something like that. But, it doesn't really bother me either way. But I think the struggle is, how do you have that time of preparation before Christmas? How do you really enter the spirit of Advent?
And nothing against designers, but especially when, Halloween's over and all the Christmas decorations are up at the mall. Yeah. Santa Claus parade was a month ago already. Christmas music, 24/7 on the radio. How do you, not so much for you, obviously, but also how do you explain it to your kids? I know your kids are still a little small, but so how do you figure that out at home?
Well, I think first of all, the hustle and bustle of the pre-Christmas season, that sort of thing, I think everything associated with that sort of materialism around that, we've really tried to diminish in our family. So we've really, the flyers come out in the newspapers from Toys R Us and all that sort of thing. Yeah. The kids don't see those, so that they're not sort of saying, "Oh, I really want this." Another thing is controlled TV, so we don't really watch TV. We show kids DVDs, so
you show them Salt and Light television.
And Salt and Light television 24/7. Yeah.
My husband has brought up a couple really nice things that I think we're going to incorporate into our traditions, like a Jessie tree. So it's essentially every day during Advent, you do a small sort of reflection as a family, and you add to the tree. So I do like that, and I think there are ways that you can stay penitential and quiet and then really go big December 24th.
How hard is it when you have in-laws or parents that are doing something completely, you're laughing, something completely different? Do you find that a struggle?
Yeah, I mean...
Without being nice with your in-laws?
Yeah, everybody has their own way of celebrating, obviously. And I think really, I mean, everyone has good intentions. It's all about feeling joyful and festive and family, communal, right? I think that's the heart of most people for Christmas, is what they're trying to do. So it's definitely a challenge.
I think when couples and families sort of establish themselves, young couples, they have to define themselves in some ways. And especially around Christmas, that's when they have to start maybe pulling away from maybe some of the traditions that they had growing up and some of the traditions that continue. But for example, with the whole Santa Claus, we had that discussion when our kids were fairly young.
Yeah.
And we decided, you know what, I mean, there's no harm for us in terms of Santa Claus. Like, other members of our family will be promoting Santa Claus, the grandparents will be promoting Santa Claus and that sort of thing. So we don't want to pull that from them completely. But at the same time, we also want to maybe scale back in terms of like what we're going to be giving them and that sort of thing. And then communicating that to them as well, just saying that, this is what we're going to be doing.
Do they make a list? Do they write a letter to Santa?
They actually do write letters to Santa, but one interesting thing that Chris has been doing for the past couple of years is that they'll write to the Canada Post service, and then they send back the generic letters. Krista just cans the generic letters and does a personalized letter to all the kids from Santa. But one of the things she tries to do is, indicate one of the things that they want for Christmas, and she helps them along in terms of determining what that thing is. So she might pick something up on sale somewhere, and it's a play set of something. She's like, "Wouldn't it be nice to ask for this for Christmas?" So their expectations are already set. Santa's already in the workshop building these things, and so he writes back to them, saying, "The elves are in the shop. They've just finished your VTech thing or whatever, and I'm hoping that you're working on this, getting ready for Christmas and that sort of thing, and then just finishing it up with the beautiful time of year and waiting for the Christ child and that sort of thing." So throwing these Christian elements in there, but like really trying to Christianize the secularized Santa Claus.
Okay, let me read you a comment. So just again, so your kids believe in Santa Claus?
Yes.
Okay, so they do. So this came in from Warren Dungen, who's in Saskatoon, and Warren says, "We educate our 4 boys about St. Nicholas and tell them that Santa Claus is not real. We refuse to lie and buy into the commercial interpretation of Santa Claus. If there are redeeming qualities of Santa, they are all found in St. Nick, not the Coca-Cola version. We do not lie to our kids about Santa, the Easter Bunny, or the Tooth Fairy." There we have 3 more shows to do. The Easter Bunny or the Tooth Fairy. Sorry. So how do you... I mean, I know a lot of people, you don't...
Okay, so I grew up believing in Santa Claus.
So
and
did I
love Santa Claus. And I'm all for the imagination. I'm all for the fantasy. I think those are important things to instill in children, like imagination and creativity, right?
Yeah.
But when I found out that Santa Claus was not real...
You were traumatized.
I'm going to be honest. I was a little bit. I was a little bit older.
How old were you?
I was, I think, 12.
Okay, so like last year.
So, and I remember being kind of like, oh, that's like disappointing. So I don't know. So I feel I have mixed thoughts about Santa Claus.
So you felt betrayed? You felt...
Not betrayed, just kind of like, meh, why did we lie about this?
See, in Panama, the gifts don't come from Santa Claus. The gifts come from the baby Jesus.
Oh.
So they were all from Niño Dios. I don't know, maybe in the Philippines. But we still got so much stuff about Santa Claus because of North America and TV programs. And so I think we all believed in Santa Claus, but we don't have chimneys, right? So I don't know. Like, it's not like you think about these things when you're a little kid. And then at one point you just kind of, you grow up, like it's like a coming of age. You grow, you develop into just knowing that Santa Claus is just your parents being
So I'm
nice.
all for the fantasy. And I think Santa Claus is a lovely story, but I have a hard time, like this commenter, lying to my children.
Okay, but Patrick, and you're not saying no, but if your kids asked you, your oldest one is 7.
Yes.
If she said, He. If he said, Dad, is there a Santa Claus? You're not going to lie to him.
Well, we already have told them, and so what we've done, I mean, recognizing that the whole Santa Claus myth is built up through a number of traditions, and they get adapted and that sort of thing. It is what it is, but what we're trying to do is readapt it or transform it in a way to sort of a Christian edge. So we say that Santa Claus is St. Nicholas, although we don't explain like every single detail to reconcile, well, what about the North Pole and St. Nicholas is in heaven, so like how does that work?
Oh, no.
They're not asking those questions.
Something to look forward
but
to.
as we sort of move towards that, as they start to ask the questions, we're going to be answering questions that, essentially are going to get to the point where, okay, you know what, Santa Claus was the fantastical myth, but it's really reflecting, or he's really a symbol of St. Nicholas, and here's the story of St. Nicholas.
I sometimes feel that we try to, some people try to justify the Santa Claus with this St. Nicholas, and they're completely two different things. Like, I don't know, like, not that you're doing this, but do you sometimes feel that that's maybe even a cop-out? Like, if there's a St. Nicholas, that's fine, but that's not the guy that's at the mall.
Yeah, well, I think, from a number of stories, that there is this evolution of what St. Nicholas has become into the Santa Claus. So, I mean, explaining some elements of that in order to teach components of the faith and what those symbols and those myths really mean.
Okay.
I mean, if you go back to the letters like the Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus.
Yes.
That editor is not lying to that child. And so it's really...
This is the challenge. So if let's say, my children are too young, like, so I'm thankfully not having to make major decisions yet. I have a couple years still I have to do this. But, so let's say I don't want to teach them about Santa Claus because I'm uncomfortable being deceitful or what have you, right? Santa Claus is everywhere. Santa Claus is in the mall. Santa Claus is on TV. Like when they're walking with their friends, and they all of a sudden Santa Claus comes up and they don't understand, or they have no clue, I don't know. How am I going to deal with that?
Well, anyway, hold that thought because we're going to take a little break. I'm glad you mentioned Virginia because we want to talk a little bit about that as well. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a little short break. And we're actually going to be hearing about a new film on the life of St. Nicholas, the Bishop. So stay tuned.
Let us know your perspective. Email us at perspectives@saltandlighttv.org or reach us by mail. Perspectives at Salt and Light Television, 114 Richmond Street East, Toronto, Ontario, M5C 1P1. Or call us toll free at 1-888-302-7181. Let your perspective be heard.
Please, tell me the truth. Is there a Santa Claus? Virginia OHanlon, 8 years old.
Yes, Virginia. There is a Santa Claus. He exists as certainly as love and generosity and devotion exist. And you know that they abound and give to your life its highest beauty and joy. Alas, how dreary would be the world if there were no Santa Claus. It would be as dreary as if there were no Virginias.
Okay, so you have this person, who's St. Nicholas, who was a very real person. And for me, from that guy who probably didn't have a beard, like I don't know what he looked like, who maybe helped some people with money, I don't know. Like how do we go into this jolly old elf with the red suit, well, the Coca-Cola guy. So to me, that's a huge leap. So I don't know if teaching my kids about St. Nicholas is a way to compromise the Santa Claus thing. And is that...
I don't know if you can.
I don't...
Like,
well, what do you...
I think they're separate. What do you think?
Well, again, I would say that one is an outgrowth of the other. And what I'm trying to teach my kids is, and allow them to enter into, is part of the fantasy and part of the magic of Christmas. And I'm not trying to explain to them a historically accurate picture of who St. Nicholas is and how the Santa Claus myth came about or whatever. I'm allowing them to believe in something that, as children, it adds a lot of fun. And I think about my own experiences as a child, finding out, that there wasn't a Santa Claus. I heard from kids in the schoolyard that, there wasn't a Santa Claus. And I didn't believe it. I wouldn't believe it.
Did you run home?
Mom and Dad. I ran home, asked my mom and dad, and no, there is a Santa Claus.
Okay.
And my mom would continue to tell me about the reindeer on the roof when she was a child, and she was like, I really.
How old were you?
I was probably about 10 or 11. The following year, I was in my mom's room, looked under the bed, and I saw the presents.
That's the worst.
But I wasn't. I mean, I guess I had a bit of a heads up, and when I saw it, I was like, I got it. And so, I wasn't overly
So you've
disappointed.
got the fact that the spirit of giving, whatever.
And then I could be brought into that.
Okay, but do you feel that's being deceitful?
Kind of, but okay. So let's say I want to integrate Santa Claus into my family's culture. Fine, because I think I'm all about Santa Claus. I think he's fun.
In November.
Yeah, exactly, because I'm decorating in November. How can I do it without being a shred of how can I do it without lying, without being deceitful? I just don't know how you can do that. How do you do it? Are you evasive? Are you just kind of you're not as detailed as you could be? I don't know.
You don't hide the gifts under the bed. We were very good at making sure that the kids did not find the presents. And to this day, my oldest son, Nicholas, is 14. I don't think he has a clue. He knows, but we've never had the conversation. But had it come up, I think I would have been, I don't care, had he been 6, I would have not lied. Mm-hmm. But it never came up, so and they wrote letters to Santa Claus, and we got the Canada Post letters back, and they thought that was great, even though the letters were exactly the same letter. I don't know. I don't think that I think he's now, unless his brother doesn't know, I don't know, but Nicholas is totally into keeping the, it's not really a charade, but keeping the idea, the belief. But his name is Nicholas, so he knows all about St. Nicholas because we've been drilling that, December 6th is your namesake, your feast day. So I don't know. Let me read you another comment.
Okay.
Good spot for a comment. So this came from John Ortiz, who kind of agrees with Patrick. The kids now must be very different from us then. But talking from the child in me, there's no talking about Santa at all. He was just there. Come Christmas morning, he made me feel the most special kid in town. He gave me what I wished for. Imagine that. I wasn't traumatized when I finally learned the truth. It made me feel even more special to know that my parents tried their very best to give me what I wished for. In this light, Santa's a blessing to every kid who needs to know that he's loved very specifically. What do you think?
Good point.
It's very sweet. And I'm all about the sentiment. I guess I cannot reconcile how I can teach Santa in a way that
I think
doesn't
as a Christian,
set an example. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think as a Christian parent, how we sort of approach this is that the Santa Claus myth is already there. It's in our culture. Mm-hmm. It's not like we can sort of return to a place where it was before. Right. So it's okay, what can we do with this now? Yeah. How do we Christianize that? How do we adapt it to our family? How do we make it work? Yeah. And so I think, it's going to be different in every family, but I think you have to start thinking about how you're going to present the truths of the Christian faith, and whether it's through fantasy, whether it's through tall tales to children, which may or may not seem deceitful, but I think that's part of childhood.
You know what? You just made me think a story like Jonah and the whale. That's a tall tale. Yeah. It didn't really happen, right? So, and we use that as a teaching moment. So maybe you are onto something.
We go with the Adam and Eve, and the kids do a little play of Adam and Eve, and it's exactly mythic language.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
There's a difference. That's religious myth versus the sort of secular myth, but the same idea.
Now, is there a difference between Christianizing this whole secular idea of Santa Claus and just kind of going alongside it so that you teach your kids what Christmas is really about? It's Jesus' birthday, and we have Advent, and we really focus on that. But that doesn't mean you can't have a Christmas tree, which is not really, has nothing to do with Christmas, really. Do you think that there's a difference between kind of going alongside with it rather than trying to Christianize it? Do you know what I
think
mean?
I see my family doing more alongside, I think.
Yeah.
Because I definitely want to teach my spouse and I to have that spirit of Christ is coming and that we're going to be penitential during this time, and then, celebrate the fact that he is born. But keep the, carols, like the secular carols, if you will, like Santa Claus, Jingle Bells, what have you, alongside.
Yeah.
But not mix the two, maybe.
See, it's funny that Christmas, I always tell my kids, well, that's not a Christmas song. It's a winter song. Yeah. And try to make a difference between, "Oh, come all you faithful." And we play at music. My son's now playing at Mass as well. So there's a difference between the songs that are appropriate for Mass, "Oh, come all you faithful," "Deck the halls," no, "Hark the Herald," whereas "Deck the Halls" is you don't sing it at Mass. You don't sing Jingle Bells at Mass. Okay, so we're almost at the end of the time that we have. So maybe some ideas for keeping things that you've done or things that you remember from growing up or things that you hope to do, is how to kind of keep Christmas centered on Jesus or Advent centered on waiting.
I can remember in my childhood praying around the Advent wreath and doing a small celebration every week, and that's something I really would like to do with my family. And then the idea of the Jesse tree, so that every day you can gather, and small children can do this, and they add something, and it's a physical, visual countdown, if you will, to the coming of Christ at Christmas.
Yeah, countdowns. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the Advent wreath, we like that every Sunday, and I mean sometimes the kids will get the Advent calendars and that sort of thing. I mean there's a little bit of the treat function there as well, but also just in preparing for Christmas, like, not being overly materialistic, like, having the expectations set so that the kids aren't, going crazy with, their different lists and that sort of thing. They know they're getting one present from Santa. So Santa isn't this big giver of gifts.
Yeah.
He's just one component. He's just not, and it's always about the baby Jesus. I mean, that's...
actually we do one present from Santa and one present from Jesus.
Oh, really?
And we try to not have too many presents, tell that to the grandparents. Anyway, that's all the time we have. I'm actually curious to see if you have any suggestions of ways to keep Christmas centered on Christ. Send us an email, perspectives@saltandlighttv.org, or visit our website, saltandlighttv.org/perspective. Write a comment there, and we'll post them up. We always leave the last words to the one who is the Word. So this gospel coming up on the third Sunday in Advent from Matthew, chapter 11, verse 1 to 11, a portion of it goes like this. As they went away, Jesus began to speak to the crowds about John. "What did you go out into the wilderness to look at? A reed shaken by the wind? What then did you go out to see? Someone dressed in soft robes? Look, those who wear soft robes are in royal palaces. What then did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet. This is the one about whom it is written, 'See, I am sending my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way before you.' Truly I tell you, among those born of women, no one has arisen greater than John the Baptist, yet the least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he." So that's from Matthew 11, verses 7 to 11. Let's start with Lisa.
I guess a feeling of expectation that there is something amazing coming, and something that we should look at awe and wonder in. And just to bring it back to our conversation, that's really what I'm trying to do this Advent, is to really prepare my heart, try to be a little bit more quiet during this time, and then really get ready for this awe-inspiring wonder that is coming.
Thank you. Patrick?
I think as Christians, and particularly as parents, thinking about John, he's a prophet and a messenger and a witness. And a little bit earlier on in the passage, it says John sends his disciples to ask Jesus if he's the one who's coming. I think we have to ask that question to those in our family, our friends. Who is this Jesus? Is he the one who's to come? Is he going to satisfy our desires? Is he going to bring us every good gift? And have that as the focus of this season.
Yeah, good. I don't usually do this, but I actually had a thought too that in a way St. Nicholas is also a prophet announcing, and maybe that there's a connection there. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much. Our parenting panel, Lisa Canning, lisacanning.com? .ca. Sorry, lisacanning.ca. You can check out her blogs, all her writings about how to decorate for Christmas in November. Mother of two, and Patrick Douglas. He's at the Newman Center at the University of Toronto here in Toronto. Father of six. Thank you so much for your ideas. And again, a reminder, share your ideas with us, how to keep Christ in Christmas. You can send a comment directly onto our website, our webpage, saltandlighttv.org/perspectives. And also remember to check out our discussion, join in our discussion at facebook.saltandlighttv.org. That's all for tonight. Thank you for being with us. We'll talk to you next week. May God bless you and your home.